Outlander. Let me see. I haven't seen an amulet with this craftsmanship in a long while. That wouldn't be unheard of, unless this is just a cheap replica. I'd guess the crafter of this piece was an elf. And if that's true, then there may be some kind of rune etched on it somewhere. Strangely enough, it hints at a location where the Brarywine River and the Scrag Dells meet, which would be somewhere in the northern part of the Shire. I didn't think the elves had much of a fascination with us, but then again, it's also possible this was made by a ranger. Always a pleasure to look upon genuine elven handiwork. If you find any more, be sure to bring them by.
Hello. What? Let me see that. Father, you sly fox. The amulet mentions a cave in the north. I don't know what he tried to tell me before he died, but I'm certain this will be the answer to my questions. I can't thank you enough, Outlander. As soon as Thormund permits it, I'll set out for this location. I'm forever in your debt.
Did you say something?
Not at all. What's on your mind? Indeed I have. Here you are. This should cover the basics. Not at all. What's on your mind? I'm not a fan of rushing these talks. Perhaps we can discuss it sometime later. See you.
Is there something you're trying to say? I suppose I have some time. What about? And what business of yours would that be anyway? I won't reveal my mistakes, just as I never asked for yours. The future is what you should concern yourself with, not the past. For your sake, you'd better hope the past doesn't repeat itself. But in either case, trust me when I say you're better off not knowing. Now, is there something else we could talk about? It was a gift from an old associate. I have no time for sarcastic remarks. Did you need something, or are you just trying to find someone to mock? Trust me, I talk more often than I'd prefer. That's the problem with all these young Nunamorians and newcomers around. Everyone wants a conversation. Nothing. But folks who enjoy that sort of thing shouldn't try to drag in others who prefer peace and tranquility. May your blade strike swiftly.
Hello.
Huh?
My past? Wow, no one's ever asked me that before. I mean, of course. Typical newcomers are quite likely to find even the dullest days of a ranger interesting in comparison to their own lives. I must have forgotten that. Perhaps, but I must be ever careful to give proper credit where credit is due. My accomplishments are far too significant to ignore, after all. Now anyway, you asked about my past. I was raised alongside Adonin, my older brother, by my aunt and uncle. My uncle took it upon himself to teach Adonin the tricks and values of a ranger when his work permitted. I guess he must have felt bad about excluding me from their exercises, because it was not long before I was involved in the training. Adonin wasn't the slightest bit fond of this, however. I guess being beaten in a spar by his younger sister was too much to handle. He'd probably still complain about it today if you were here. One. But it was an intense one. If you talked to him, he'd probably say I rigged it. But how was I supposed to know where the end of the cliff was? Well, we used to battle everywhere we could. The higher up, the better. And I may have tripped him. But I certainly didn't know he'd fall 10 yards in the air. I just assessed the situation and worked quickly to take full use of my advantage. Something did. Or rather, he brought something upon himself. I don't really want to talk about it right now, okay? In fact, there's some other tasks the others wanted me to carry out. I should probably get those done. I suppose you're wondering what happened to my brother then. That's what you asked last time. But I didn't want to say anything about it. I suppose I deserve an answer now, though. It wasn't that long ago. Not even a full year when my uncle left to join Halbard's company. Our training was still very much incomplete at the time of his leaving, so, to compensate, he told us to seek out the chief ranger of the Shire. His chief foreman was renowned for turning young Nunomori novices into fully capable and experienced rangers. So we left to finish our training under his guidance. Along our way here, we took a brief stop at Ray to rest our feet and eat our fill. It was too long, in my opinion. While we were in the tavern, some blonde started up a long chat with Adonin. I knew she was trouble from the beginning, but did my brother listen? No! He had to impress her with the stories of his ranger training and all the battles he had. Won. Well, when I woke up the next morning, both my brother and that swine were gone. Years of growing up together, fighting and playing, training and watching, and then he just leaves like that, with a girl he hardly even knew. What kind of brother would do that? You take his side? He abandoned me. There was absolutely no reason to do that. None. I waited for him to return for weeks, but nothing ever changed. I was left alone with no idea how to proceed and still questioning the meaning of my predicament. Finally, I realized that there was only one thing left to do. I had to continue towards the Shire. By that time, I'd waited nearly a month, and, well, it became apparent he wasn't coming back, no matter how much I wanted to believe it. And if you thought you had it bad when you arrived here, Foreman kept me on the doorstep for a solid week before he let me into the base. Apparently, my uncle forgot to mention that I was coming to the Shire, and they were only expecting my brother. It took longer still to convince them of my Nunomorian bloodline and skills with the blade. But that's about all I've got. I apologize if my backstory isn't an expansive one, but it's not exactly if I have a lot to tell. I'm still fairly young as Nunomorians go. Outlander, did anyone see you walk back here? Anyone at all? I needed to make a distraction for me. I have to leave quietly, but the others are blocking my path. They can't see me departing or they'll try to stop me. Can you do this? Can you distract the others? I have no time to explain.
You're right. And perhaps you could help just beyond a distraction anyway. Earlier today, I found a letter addressed to me by my brother. He told me to meet him in the cavern known as Tickfield. It's an old abandoned cavern in the Western Shire. Up to this point, I had no idea whether or not he was even alive, much less in the area. Furthermore, the letter said we had to talk tonight, otherwise he has to go. I haven't seen him nearly in a year, and I'm not gonna let this opportunity pass me by. From what I've seen, every one of the rangers except Byercell stand between me and the exit. I'll need you to convince them to leave. Somehow. I don't know. Somehow. If I thought you an imbecile, I wouldn't have asked you for your help. You could try creeping them out, though. That might work. Excellent.
What do you seek?
Be brief. What are the specifics? There's a lot to do. What do you need? Well... there might be some downstairs. Why don't you check? Never mind. I don't even want to know. I suppose I still have a lot left to do now. I'll get back to you on this.
Huh? What do you seek? Huh? Thanks for sharing. Now, is there a reason you're here? Do I look like some kind of maid? I'm sure you could look for it yourself. I just remembered, Byercell asked me to adjust the sights on her bow. I'm gonna go do that right now.
Hello. Is there a reason you're staring at me? What are you doing? You look much too old for children's games, but if not, I am. I believe so. Hold on, I'll check for you.
Good day. Good work, Outlander. Now, come on!
made your choice. Now you'll die with it. I know what I did wrong. Shall we try again? No. I'm better than this. I know I am. I hope that's not bad. I hope that's not bad. Your mistake. Easy. Something you need? Yes?
Just here to rob little folk. I wasn't prepared for this.
Surprise!
Filthy worm.
Huh? I thought for sure that would do it.
It was all a lie.
Out there. I just
Just
noticed.
the ruffian trap. Been a fool.
Oh, see.
Filthy worm.
Nobody can tell me I didn't.
Oh, get you, sack. I can see you're beautiful. Is this supposed to be a challenge?
I mean, that was nothing.
You're
That's not bad.
Oh, crush you. There is no escape. Is the point? Filthy worm.
That was the best shot.
The tide has turned.
Wrong.
Retreat.
Try again.
No. I'm better than this. I know I am.
You've made your choice. Now you'll die with it.
It was all a lie? The letter was just a ruffian trap? I've been a fool. I don't know. Rangers knew my tale, but nobody else. Or so I thought. I guess this proves the enemy knows more about us than we are led to believe. You would? Thanks, Outlander. Thanks for understanding. And thanks for coming this far. I don't think the ruffians expected you to show up, so we could pretty much guess that the number of them was specifically chosen to defeat me. Had you not come along, I fear I may not have bested them. You have my thanks. I'll see you back at the base.
Ugh, big folk.
You look anything you need for your trip out of the Shire. Hope you come again.
Wait, a well?
What's going on?
Dursik fell down a well while he was pursuing goblins.
I don't want to talk about it.
This'll be good.
Yeah, and there were these halflings around, you see, and he told them to get a ladder, but...
You needed a ladder to get out of a well?
Tinruth, there's a reason I don't normally answer when you ask questions like, how was your day?
Take this accursed thing from me. I don't want to see it ever again. Have you ever wished you'd never seen the truth? Ever regretted the first moment you questioned your existence? Probably not, so I wouldn't expect you to understand.
Do you think it could be done? If they had both the will and the resources? Do you think our enemy would try to pull us apart from the inside, rather than risk a forward confrontation?
They have the resources. Every day our reports remind us, but if they tried, they would be overlooking one key factor. Our trust in each other, and our strength as a team.
What do you want?
Listen, Outlander, I feel I must apologize. I was angry earlier, and I fear I may have taken it out on you. So you followed through then? I suppose that may have been inevitable. I kinda set you in that direction when I handed you the amulet. Just don't tell the others, alright? I don't want them to suspect that I've been lying to them about my ancestry this whole time. I'd rather they didn't suspect me of anything. Every truth runs the risk of being misinterpreted, and now's not the time we Rangers can afford to doubt one another. Trust me, I'm still grateful for all he did, and I'm sure he acted with pure intentions, but he could have told me earlier. Now I understand I've been living someone else's life this whole time, and I'm unsure what to make of it. Thank you. That means a lot. If there's something you need, I'm probably not the one to talk to, but I can point you in the right direction. Not at all. What's on your mind? I'm not a fan of rushing these talks. Perhaps we can discuss it sometime later. Hello. Sure.
Yeah?
Maybe later, alright? I prefer to focus on the present or future for the moment.
Oh, didn't see you there. Not at all. What's on your mind? Yes, I can see how something like that could be mispronounced. It's buy or sell, kind of like the options you have at a market, actually. Thank you. Now, was there something else you needed? Well, I personally believe you have a purpose here. I do not know what path led you down to the Skyrim Gate, what quest sent you that way, or why I found you of all people, but I believe it was for a reason. Some might find my trust absurd, but I think you are tied to the Shire in a way some would think impossible. That the fate of the Shire is in your hands and yours alone. Courage is found in the most unlikely of places, after all. Why? Perhaps it is because I am afraid. And you give me courage. Stay safe. You should return to Thorman. He's expecting you. Not at all. What's on your mind? Sure. It began as you might expect. My father took up the life of a watcher, as did my mother. Because of this, I was raised on the road. Wandering from village to camp just seemed natural to me. I was too young to fully understand where we were all going, or why, but back then it was the only life I knew. I remember one time, my parents were travelling in the woods near Tildo's Trolls, when they noticed a pack of wolves had surrounded some of the local farmers. It was the first time I'd seen my parents in action. They were magnificent. From that point, I wanted nothing more than to become a ranger in my later years. But I could go on and bore you quite easily with tales of my childhood. Shall we continue with current matters? Yep. Yes? Not at all. What's on your mind? Last time, I briefly covered the defence of a few farmers. Well, shortly afterward, my parents travelled to Riverfell. That's actually where they would drop me off, whenever they needed to go where it was too dangerous for children. Sometimes they would be gone for several months, other times only a few days. But regardless, I spent a considerable amount of time in Riverfell, studying under the elves. They were quite acceptive of me, actually, and treated me much as a pupil of theirs. They taught a great many things, most of which I seem to have forgotten, but among them were certain elven songs, traditions, and medicine. I couldn't do that. The elves were patient with me and offered many valuable tips, but unfortunately my singing voice is still bad enough to bruise fruit and frighten children. There is no need for empty flattery. I still can't sing. I'm one of the few non-elves who can. It was a topic of much interest to me back in my young years, and the elves were eager to show me the basics. I cannot claim to apply it as well as they can, but I'd wager I'm not very far behind. Sure. What do you want? Not at all. What's on your mind? Well, occasionally in Riverfell, the elves allowed me to tend to the wounds of wandering adventurers who'd make a stop in the elven city. They were surprised with how quickly I grasped their techniques, and didn't want that talent to go to waste, I suppose. Over time, they permitted me to see more and more of the wounded or injured, but I'd be lying if I said they came in at a frequent rate. About once a month or so. But then again, it is difficult to keep track of time when in the presence of elves. One evening, however, a particular ranger of importance came to us after being wounded in the shoulder by a pack of orcs. Estriel was his name, and I was fortunate enough to tend his wounds. Well, perhaps you shouldn't know. Not yet. There is a time for everything, but the hour for you to know this has not yet come to pass. Stay safe. Oh, didn't see you there. Not at all. What's on your mind? There's a lot to do. How about sometime later? Sure.